Okay, so we've talked about our influences. My glass has magically refilled itself.
Mine remains empty.
Yes,
Yes.
and it looks like we have one swallow left.
Oh, really? Oh, look at that.
Look at that. And so now we're starting to veer out of writing, which a lot of writers can talk about forever, but part of this show is talking about things that don't have to do with writing. And so we have chosen to talk about our instruments because Helen here is an awesome bagpipes player, and I play the violin. So let's do some show and tell.
Okay. Do you want to talk about your violin first?
I can. I mean, I don't. I actually don't know what to talk about.
Okay. Tell me.
This is my pride
How did
and
you
joy.
first get into being a violinist?
Oh, I remember this very clearly. It was a huge part of my life. So I had never, when my family listened to music, of course, but it was, it was like the A-track in the car, John Denver, Cat Stevens,
Okay.
which I love Cat Stevens, Seals and Crofts. So that's the music I was hearing, and then my older sister, punk rock and stuff like that. So there wasn't a whole lot of classical music. But one day I was in 6th grade. That's a very big turning point in my life. I talk about 6th grade a lot. But in 6th grade, some people came to our classroom at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And they were like, does anyone want to be in orchestra? And I was like, what's orchestra? And they were like, violins and stuff. And I heard the word violin, and my brain exploded.
Really?
And it was just the most bizarre thing. Like, the way I remember it was like my hand just raised uncontrollably. I'm like, I don't know what a violin is, but I want to play it.
That is
and
hilarious.
I did, and so and I did take. Gosh, I played for a long time, and then I took a long time off.
Okay.
And I just recently got back into, and actually I got back into writing and playing the violin
At the same
time. The creative bug just was like, you cannot ignore this stuff anymore. So about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so you played for how many years from 6th grade to?
I played through high school, and then college. There wasn't really a music program in college, so I quit. So I stopped playing like 93, 94, 95, and I got back into it 4 years ago when I turned 40.
Okay.
So
about 11 or 12 years in total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then but like 20 years off in between.
Yeah.
So,
I did the same thing.
But it came pouring back. It was.
Well, that's cool.
I can't explain it. It was just like a volcano erupting after being asleep for 20 years,
Yeah, creative energy does that sometimes. It really does kind of hit you up the side of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my beauty. I love this. It has an incredible sound, and I have an amazing bow that goes with it.
What type is it? What brand?
It's nothing special, really.
Who made it?
I can't read it. It's actually made in China. It's 2018, but there's, it isn't vintage. It isn't.
No, I've actually
German. It isn't.
I've heard good things about some of the Chinese makes of musical, especially the string instruments.
Well, what I understand is that a lot of the people that make these instruments in China studied with a lot of the very best violin makers from all over. Mm-hmm. And so there are a lot of, I have to say to our audience, there are a lot of great instruments that come out of China. You just have to do the
research.
I just played on a bunch of them and found this one. You choose what can you afford, and then you do your homework within that range.
Yeah. And pick the one that sounds the best to your ears.
Yeah. So you play the bagpipes.
I do, and let me go I'm gonna get the monster. They're going to take up the entire screen.
These things.
These are the bagpipes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Just rest them right here.
Yes. And we're not going to play for you. So, that'll be another show.
Yeah.
We haven't had the chance to practice together or anything. But one day we'll present you with an awesome duet. Because we are both good at our instruments. We're not necessarily novices. Not 100% professional. I mean, you're pretty professional. You do things.
I do things, but I'm not. I'm a split grade, and in the piping world. I'm a grade 3 light music performer and a grade 2 Peabroch performer, which takes me out of the novice area. I'm a fairly decent piper, but I'm not. I have a lot to improve upon. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing about me. I'm a fairly decent violinist. My focus is classical music, but and I am in community. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Community orchestra.
Okay.
We're starting back up pretty small. Who knows? There are a lot of people that they don't thrive that way. And so, maybe some people haven't come back to it yet because they don't thrive virtually.
Mm-hmm.
And which I don't know if anybody actually thrives. We just kind of survive.
I was about to
virtually.
say, you kind of tread in place with Zoom. It really is more, I don't know, there's more value in just being in the same room with you is, after not being able to talk to anybody up close, it's just lovely.
Yeah. It's like being kids again.
I know.
It's
it is like
can you come out and play?
I know. Can we play together? Oh my god.
That's what I felt
there's something
I get to go out
to
and
the
play.
energy that goes on between human beings. We are definitely have an energy field that really it benefits both of us from interacting with one another.
Yeah.
It makes your battery glow brighter.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's very silly. But it does.
It is. And
that's one of the things
we're
that
social creatures.
We are totally social creatures, and I think that's why so many people are struggling with depression. We're not only forced to be apart, but when we get back together, we're all like, stay away. Oh my god, get away. I know, and you want to self-preserve, but at the same time, we really get a lot out of being with each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then with music, for one, like with Zoom, I'm in a quartet, and we tried so hard at the beginning of COVID. It was like, let's figure out how to keep playing, because my quartet and I, we had just got together.
Got it gelled.
And we were doing some great Dvorak and Schubert pieces, just amazing quartets.
Nice.
And
love Dvorak.
Yeah. We're doing the American quartet.
Oh,
which
really?
is super fun, yeah.
Have you ever played any Janet? That's really for cellos.
I don't know. I'd have to hear it to really know. I'm not.
He did a quartet for cellos that was just stupendous. And
amongst string players, the viola tends to be the butt of a lot of jokes. Yeah,
like the drummers are for pipers.
Okay, there you go. So that was going to be my question.
Oh, and the drummers make fun of the pipers, and the pipers I know all these drummers, right? And they're supposed to keep time for the group. So when do they get to band? They're almost always half an hour to an hour late. It's like they're the timekeepers, and they cannot keep real time to save their little lives. And I'm going to receive flack for that. That from my pipe band, because
that's awesome. That's great. Yeah,
it's kind of a lie, but it's not really. Yeah, poor drummers.
Yeah.
They just
violists and the drummers.
Yeah.
They just kind of
poor violists. I don't even know them well enough to make fun of them, but I am from a 350-piece marching band at Florida State University, and you can see it clearly. Each instrument definitely has a stereotype associated with it. Like trumpet players, I am a trumpet player, are just arrogant bastards. Clarinetists are very nice people.
Oh, I do have to agree with that. Yeah.
Very nice.
Every clarinet person I've known.
Yeah.
He's a very nice person.
And the French horn players and the bassoonists are all a little weird. And they were all my friends.
The weird ones.
The
were your
weird
friends.
ones.
So, what's the best way to get a violinist to stop playing? Take away their sheet music.
That's terrible.
I know, I'm a violinist, so, but,
That's sad. See, as a
I
piper,
know a violin.
I'm forced to memorize. We have to memorize everything. And I don't really know why, because I can sight read. But I guess we're so loud that we can't use a conductor, right?
Oh.
And the pipe major has to stamp and snort, and that's how we follow him or her.
Oh.
They can't conduct because they're busy with their
So
you know,
they
musical squid.
Stomp and snort.
Yeah, well, they stomp, basically. They tap their foot and they kind of roll their eyes and steam comes off their head. But we don't have a conductor. We can't have a conductor. And we don't have any volume control. There's no dynamic.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Okay.
So we have to, all of our expression has to be through timing.
Oh.
It's all timing. So cutting a note and holding a note are all we have.
Okay.
It's a very strange instrument.
Yeah.
And there's only 9 notes.
9 notes. That's it.
That's it.
We have hundreds.
Of course you do.
You know.
And thank God for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also a very primal instrument because it's pitched in the key of B flat, and B flat is universally known to be one of those sacred pitches that many cultures recognize. And this really does. It can both strike terror into an enemy, and it can really awaken that deep spiritual longing for God, that feeling that you can get sometimes.
You know, and the I have to say, I love the bagpipes, and anytime I hear them, I mean, it's just like I have to stop and just like be
Pay
with
attention,
it,
yeah.
You know, pay attention.
Yeah.
There is something very primal,
Very.
deep. You know, it must just be that the drone. It just, you know, I'm a meditator, and so, you know, chanting Om, and so yeah. There's just this very profundity.
Yeah.
Just this. It speaks to something.
It
just
does.
Very deep.
Quite visceral.
And,
You know,
yeah.
very visceral, very primal, even feral on some level. You know, furs and smoke and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Begging on stones.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kilts. Lots and lots of kilts.
Scotch.
Scotch and
Drinking.
plaid and.
Right. Hairy men sitting around a campfire, scratching themselves. You know, yeah, that kind of primal too. You know.
Oh, yeah. Is there a favorite piece that you have?
There is. It's a Peabroch. It's called The Old Men of the Shells, and I find it incredibly interesting to play because there's a storyline in my head that goes with the piece. It's got 8 variations to it. It's the ground is what lays down the main melody, and many Peabrochs have a very standard, the ground, and then the first variation, the second variation, the twirlo singling, the twirlo doubling, front-low singling, front-low doubling. It's very standard.
I don't know any of that.
It doesn't matter.
You know?
It doesn't matter.
But I understand the ground.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Or the urlar, and it Old Men of the Shells has 8 variations of these things, and each one is different.
Oh.
And that's not standard.
Oh.
And it is conjectured that Old Men of the Shells means old men with shells, and they used to use shells as quaches or drinking vessels.
Okay.
And so when I heard that and I read that, I thought, oh, it's a bunch of old men sitting around getting drunk. And when you hear the tune, it's a soft recollection, and you can hear them remembering their memories as they start drinking. Then they get angry, and then you can hear.
You can hear it.
Oh yeah, you can hear
definitely.
that one of them had an affair with another person's wife, one of their wives. They have a fight, and you can hear it developing in the tune, and it's what you strive to bring out when you're playing it, and sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. But in my mind, that's how I hear that tune of it's older people having a drink, having their, remembering their lives, you know,
Yeah.
and then getting a little too drunk, and they become toxic, and music gets music gets angry, you know, and I just, it's a very human piece, and a lovely piece, and it just resonates on so many different levels, and it's very difficult to play, and yeah.
And you can play it.
I can play it not as well as some other people, but I can play it.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, I think that's really just a great moment in life when you have these favorite pieces and you actually get to the point where you can play them. I think that's just such a special place to be.
Well, I have to say, the first month that I began playing the bagpipes when I was 35, and I didn't know what Peabroch was, but you know how it is when you get a new instrument. You're like,
oh gosh, yeah.
I'm going to eat the world. I'm going to eat the world, and I'm going to start here. And I got a bunch of Peabroch CDs. And the very first tune I heard was Old Men of the Shells. And I was in the car, and I burst into tears. And I vowed, no matter how long it took my ass, I was going to play that tune. And by my 18th year, I could do it justice.
Oh.
So what is this? I'm 58. I've been playing 23 years now, which is not long in piping time, but it's something. And it gets better every year. You know, I can get a little bit more out of it every year. Yeah. And God knows I do, because it's a gorgeous tune. And I hope to play this tune until I, die.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes about 13 and a half to 14 minutes to play. It's a long tune.
Oh, yeah.
What's yours? What's your favorite tune?
So I would have to say Brahms Violin Concerto in D major.
D major.
And
Okay.
it's very challenging. It's a solo violin with a full orchestra behind it. I have never played it. I feel like it's pretty beyond my capacity. I had a little yellow cassette tape that was on one side of it, and there was something else on the other side. I do not remember what was on the other side. What was on the B side?
You listened to that.
So I would just rewind it and listen to that as a kid, and I lost it, and I would get this piece in my head, and I didn't know where it was, who it was,
right?
And then just like a year or two ago, no, actually because of COVID, I can always add a year on when I'm remembering things. I can always add a year because I feel like I've blocked out the COVID year.
Oh, the 2020.
So probably 3 years ago, I heard it and I was like, "That's it. That's the piece." And but then I do have to give some merit, huge kudos to Massenet's Meditation. That brought me back into playing the violin.
Oh.
So someone posted it on Facebook, and I listened to it. Just this little 6-year-old girl playing it, and it made me cry. I was like, I have to play the violin again, and so that piece brought me back into playing the violin, and I can play that piece now.
Oh.
Yeah, I ran off the music and I started picking away at it.
Wow.
Took me a long time, and then I took some private lessons for a while.
Do you still take lessons?
Of course not with COVID. I stopped. With COVID. But
I did too.
But once things get cleared up, I might start taking lessons again with my awesome teacher Kevin LaFawn.
Okay.
Amazing teacher.
My instructor is Colin Gimmel. Colin is a Luddite and will never hear this, unfortunately, but he's a fantastic instructor and a really sweet man.
Yeah. So I hope to start taking lessons again, because it really, we can all use teachers, right? We can all get better.
Oh my God,
whether
yeah.
it's with music or with writing. There's always room to grow.
Oh, definitely.
And to expand and
Yeah.
to change, to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once you think you know it all, that would be the end. That's kind of a warning sign there.
Helen McKay Sanders, you just put out the Black Triton on December 31st.
That's correct.
And that can be found digitally.
Yeah, you can find The Ringmaker, which is the first in the series, on Kindle digitally, and the Black Triton, the second book in this series, is also on Kindle. Ringmaker, The Ringmaker, a paperback you can purchase from booklocker.com, which is a print-on-demand company. I like them very much. And The Widowed Warlock is another book I published last year. I published 2 books last year. You can also get that digitally on Kindle, and you can get Widowed Warlock on booklocker.com as well. And The Widowed Warlock starts off a completely different series, and it's the first in that series.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
And so I know that you're working on your website, which a lot of us upcoming writers, our websites tend to suffer. They tend to be the last thing we look at. But I know you're putting a lot of work into it. I know you're going to be getting it up.
I'm just starting the work, so yeah.
So do you want to leave a web address?
No, I do not,
here?
because it's still pretty messy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And and excitingly, this is kind of a little side note, is my publisher's White Cat Publications, and they have picked up Helen here, so we have that nice little connection of the same publisher. Self-published to begin with, but now she's getting some help from White Cat Publications. Yeah. And sorry, I keep kicking you. And then my debut novel, The Eversteam Chronicles, Small Demons, is coming out October of this year.
Okay.
And then I'm currently working on the prequel, the pirate epic fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
That's gigantic.
Pirates.
And with elven pirates. And that will be published next October 2022. It's in the works right now, but of course we're not.
So you have at least 2 books on the horizon and an anthology.
Yeah,
that's lovely.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading both of them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading yours.
You should finish The Ringmaker.
Yes, I will finish The Ringmaker. I promise.
I finished my books, lady.
Well,
oh my God. It's not a competition?
Yeah, it's not a competition. In a way,
I know, sorry.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for feeding me and my husband.
Oh, yes, you're quite welcome.
Staying in an awesome little yurt and this amazing land that just is beautiful. I mean, I step out and the trees and the smell and the air. It's just a wonderful place to be.
I am quite fortunate. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.